Donna's hand too. Hello, Donna. Do you hear me, Donna? I see you, Donna. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, Donna. Do you hear me, Donna? Oh. Maybe you got both knobs turned up? Should be one. There should be one knob that you hear Jennifer on and one knob that you hear program on. You should be talking on two. I mean, talking on one, I'm sorry. Talking on one. Oh, Donna.
Find that it's time to go back to work.
Come on, what are you making?
West Coast in San Francisco, we bring you two of the glamour teams of the NFL, the Raiders and the 49ers, meeting for the 22nd consecutive year in preseason. And we meet under glorious conditions. Chamber of Commerce weather tonight, 69 degrees. That'll cause sighs of envy around the rest of the country, and the forecast for pleasant skies until darkness falls. Good evening, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist, and welcome as CBS kicks off its preseason coverage of the NFL. In 1988, the 49ers, of course, have played one game. They lost to Miami and London last week. And for the Raiders of Los Angeles, a special preseason, in part because they have a brand new head coach in Mike Shanahan. I'm working with John Madden, and John, Shanahan's presence does make things a little different for Los Angeles.
I'll tell you, it does for two reasons. One, the Raiders had a bad year last year, and they want to get that out of their system. But probably more important is that they have a new coach. And when you're a new NFL coach, you're 35 years old, you're coaching your first NFL game, I'll guarantee you, you want to win this thing. You know, you can say, it's just another exhibition game. I'll tell you, that's not true. Mike Shanahan wants to look at these players. He wants to see what he has. He hasn't seen these guys play yet, and I think the players want to see him. They've practiced with him. They've been with him. They want to see how he is as a head coach in the sideline.
I would think he particularly would want to look at quarterback, because the Raiders do have a quarterback problem.
Well, that's a big deal. You know, anytime anyone says, how about the Raiders, what kind of year they're going to have, they always say, who's going to be the quarterback? I don't think Mike Shanahan has that answer yet, and I think he's going to start to find out tonight. Steve Berline is starting. He's a young quarterback out of Notre Dame in his second year. Now, last year he wasn't active for one game. He was on IR all year, so that's a real burden for a young quarterback. The other thing they're going to do in the second half, they're going to play Vince Evans. I would think right now the Raiders hope that Berline wins the job.
The 49ers had a glorious year last year in regular season, 13-2, but there is a stench in the Bay Area. The Raiders will receive as we begin the ball game. Ray Wersching, 16-year veteran from California, will kick off. 7 touchbacks a year ago. Tim Brown and Chris Woods are deep for the Raiders. This is Tim Brown, the Heisman Trophy winner. Slips and falls at the 22. And Steve Berline gets the start tonight for the Los Angeles Raiders. Defensively for the 49ers, here is how they will line up. Second-round draft choice, and the high draft choice for the 49ers, Danny Stubbs, replaces Pete Kugler tonight. Carter at the nose and Dwayne Board At linebackers, Charles Haley in a new position, Ricky Ellison, Michael Walter, and George Cooper. And the secondary, a sore spot. Chet Brooks and Johnny Poe at the corners. Lott and Fuller are the safeties. Berline, wide receivers left and right. Toss to Marcus Allen. Across the 27 and down at the 28-yard line. Joined in the backfield by Steve Smith and Marcus Allen, the wide receivers. A little speed here. Recently acquired Willie Gault and James Lofton with 1 year under his belt in Los Angeles. Offensive line, Jim Lachey, fresh from the Chargers, Charlie Hanna, Bill Lewis, Ryan Holloway, Bruce Wilkerson, and the tight end, Todd Christensen. Second down and 4, Los Angeles from the 28. Trey Junkin comes in as a double tight end. Allen the only setback. That's Junkin in motion. Allen hit at the line and dropped, no gain. Ricky Ellison, who was out all of last year with a broken forearm. Nice tackle.
Well, you see what they did? They brought Trey Junkin in motion. They double teamed Michael Carter, the nose tackle, and then Ellison, being the smart linebacker is, when you see the double on your nose tackle, boom, you just step up in that hole, and look what I found.
Loss of 1, 3rd and 5, and a third wide receiver in for the Raiders. Tim Brown, Heisman Trophy winner from Notre Dame. Lofton wide to the left. And out of the shotgun. Lewis with the snap. Berline right flat, mix up on the route. Tim Brown and Berline not together, and they played together for 3 years at Notre Dame, but no connection that time.
I think that's one thing we're going to see with the Raiders this year. You're going to see more of that shotgun. The Raiders were never a big shotgun team, and of course Mike Shanahan comes from the Denver Broncos, well, that was a big part of their passing attack.
John Taylor back to return the punt. Stan Talley in his second year with the Raiders is on to kick. Many years in USFL. Talley out of Texas Christian University, 30 years of age, but only his second year in the NFL. And that'll be returnable by Taylor at the 35. Nice move at the 40 and out of bounds at the 48-yard line. Andy Parker made the tackle. John Taylor with the return. Jerry Robinson and Rod Martin the backers. McDaniel, Haynes, McElroy, and Hudson in the secondary. Play fake, and Montana looks deep, settles short. Rathman across midfield to the 48. Tackle made by Terry McDaniel. Rathman in the backfield with Roger Craig and Joe Montana. The wide receivers Jerry Rice, who will play about a quarter, and Wes Chandler, just acquired from the Chargers. And the offensive line for the 49ers, Steve Wallace at left tackle. Sapolu moves to left guard tonight. Randy Cross the center. Bruce Colley gets a start at right guard. And Harris Barton and John Frank complete the line. Second down and 1. Play fake again. Montana relief valve to Roger Craig. Steps out of a tackle and then out of bounds. And did not get the first down because that right foot was across the line.
You know, I think it's interesting, Vern, that Bill Walsh said that last week he didn't think that Montana got to throw the ball enough because he was only going to play a quarter. So tonight he said, I don't know if it's a quarter or not, he's going to throw between 12 to 14 passes. So now if you assume that he wants to play Steve Young and he wants to play Galliano, then you'd have to say that there's going to be a lot of throwing early in this game.
3rd and 2. Montana played 8 plays last week in London and was 2 of 5 throwing the ball. Roger Craig, nice defensive play. Ron Heller could not hold the block on Rod Martin. And Martin cut through and made the tackle that brings up 4th down and Mac Runiker.
Hey, Rod Martin's an amazing guy. He's in his 12th season now. I remember when we drafted him, when I was with the Raiders, he was out of USC. He was a last round draft choice. And then, of course, we were smart. We cut him. Then the 49ers picked him up. Then they cut him. Then we cut him back. And then he went on and he was the MVP in a Super Bowl.
From 2nd and 1, as Chris Woods is back to return Runiker's punt, it's now 4th down and 5. Nice high lazy kick. Fair catch called. It'll bounce and take a Raider roll into the end zone. Touchback. Just underway from Candlestick Park in San Francisco. 11:35 remains in the first quarter.
Romanowski start as that outside linebacker because he's in there?
Is he in there now? I bet he did.
Yeah, I think he probably did.
Romanowski, 98.
Instead of
for
Cooper.
George Cooper.
Yeah, he's a right linebacker.
Yeah. There we go. I think he did start. In America, and we're some distance away from that, from the Golden Gate in Candlestick Park, South San Francisco, where what used to be the Oakland Raiders, now the Los Angeles Raiders, take on the San Francisco 49ers. These two teams first played back in 1967, and they have met in preseason every year since. Second possession now for Berline. 4-year career at Notre Dame. Many folks forget that he played all 4 years, and he is the all-time leading passer in Fighting Irish history. First and 10, backs are split. Lofton in motion. Berline gets a good block from Steve Smith and finds Allen in the right flat, but a fine defensive play by the 11th round draft choice Chet Brooks out of Texas A&M.
It'll be interesting to watch this passing game of the Raiders. The Raiders have always had the philosophy of throwing the ball deep, getting it upfield, and now with Mike Shanahan, it's more just move the stakes, get first down. You know, throw that short one on first down, pick up 4 or 5. That ball control passing game, not unlike the 49ers.
I was going to ask, is it comparable? I know he's gotten some of Danny Reeves' system from Denver, but it is comparable to the 49ers.
I think it's close. I think it's a combination between the 49ers and Denver.
Berline, safety valve, right side. Might be enough for the first down. Marcus Allen makes the grab and is close to the 30. See where the spot goes. Michael Walter.
Let's watch the time it gets here. Here's Bill Lewis, the center here, taking on Michael Carter. Now, I'll tell you, that's a tough thing for one guy to do. So you see what happens? He gets help from his left guard. Just enough. Charlie Hanna just took him and pushed him right back into Lewis. You see that? He started to come off, just pushed him right back there and put him back on center.
3rd and 1. Officially. A couple of inches unofficially. Now Junkin might have moved to draw the 49ers offside. If so, yep.
7, 5 yards. Still 3rd down.
I'll tell you, if there's anything that you hate as a coach,
Shanahan,
whether you're a first-year coach or not, it's that you get 3rd and short, or you get goal line, and a guy jumps offside. I'll tell you, to me, that's discipline.
Shanahan just aged a month.
I'll tell you, yeah. I mean, I had like 80 years of I aged 80 years on short yardage. I'll tell you, that one will say, welcome to the NFL.
3rd and 6.
You're like, how can a guy do that? You tell him in the huddle with the snap count. How can you forget it between here and there?
4 wide receivers, and they are a speedy bunch. Out of the shotgun for the Raiders. 5-man rush, good protection. Oh no! It broke down, and Berline is hit. Greg Cox got there, number 38. Free agent from San Jose.
The type of thing that helps a rookie free agent make a team, a play like that.
Tally for the 2nd time. John Taylor chases it over to his left. 2 bounces, and he's on his way. Out of bounds just inside the 40-yard line. We've got 9:43 remaining, first quarter. Scoreless game as these two teams continue to test each other out. Oh, Junkin. Ooh.
That's, Matt, of all the mistakes, you know, I mean, you can hold or something, but when you jump off sides on short yardage. What, Sandy? Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, I ought to save that and send it to Val. Yeah, exactly. I really would, Sandy. I'd save that and send it. Okay.
Yeah, gets the scores.
Everything going okay? San Francisco, their second offensive possession of the first quarter. We have 9:43 remaining, and Joe Montana is on. John sounded like he just didn't have much confidence in himself.
Well, yeah, I was surprised when you take a guy like Joe Montana, a 10-year veteran. When we talked to him the other day, I was surprised that this thing with Steve Young and his starting has affected him. I would think, you know, as a pro, you'd say, the heck with that. That's all talk. But he is, and he said he's having a problem with confidence.
Montana back, overthrows Tom Rathman. Might have been catchable, but it wasn't. Rathman dropped a big pass last week in London. Elsewhere around the NFL in preseason, the Giants with an early lead over Green Bay. Philadelphia lead the Jets by 10 at halftime. Chicago trails Miami in the fourth quarter of that game. Indianapolis, Tampa Bay, Colts up by 10. Atlanta by 7 over New England. Cincinnati, KC are tied. And Cleveland with a late lead over Detroit, 10-7. Second down and 10. Rathman blocked from Wallace, cuts back, knocked down at the 39. Malcolm Taylor, the nose tackle, made the stop. Just to continue in that vein with Montana, he said one of the things that he did say that caught my attention was he feels like that they're blaming everything on the last game against Minnesota.
Well, it was one of those things. He had one of his career best years last year, and you know, set records for completed passes and all that, and then the one game like he had a bad year. And I'm surprised, as I said, that it's affecting him. I would think that he wouldn't even know about it.
Here's Jerry Rice. There goes Jerry Rice to the 9-yard line, maybe the 8. 53 yards. Glad you got to see him, because you won't see him the entire game. He's not going to play a lot tonight.
And that's right. Jerry Rice is such a great receiver and is so valuable to this team that the one thing they want to do is just let him play a little. You see, he comes here on a crossing pattern. Once he catches that ball, I tell you, he knows where to take it, and he can outrun almost anyone. But here's the big thing, is you have to give the quarterback time. That's what they do. You see that pocket? They ride the ends up the field, shut off that center, and let Montana step up.
First and goal from the 8. Into the flat, John Frank down at the 2. My question is, there had to be a blown assignment defensively on Jerry Rice.
Well, or someone could have gotten picked, you know, or just speed could do it. When you start on one side of the field and run all the way across the field, you can tend to lose guys going across there, especially if you can run as fast as Jerry Rice can.
John Frank has taken over for Russ Francis. Here comes Jerry Rice, 22 touchdowns a year ago to lead the NFL. Power sweep, Roger Craig, no. Reggie McKenzie, number 54, led the defensive surge. Third and goal.
I think Roger Craig likes playing halfback a lot better now. Remember when he was a fullback there for years, and in fact, they moved him from fullback, put Tom Rathman in there, and Roger quickly lost 10 pounds. That's the thing to do. I remember once I moved Dave Casper to tackle. The next time I saw him, he lost 30 pounds, and I had to play him at tight end.
Third and goal from the 3. Rathman leading Craig. Craig's not going to get there. Down at the 5.5. This time it's Mike Haynes. And a fine goal line defense by Haynes and the Raiders.
You know, the 49ers are funny in that when they're supposed to run, they pass, and when you think they'd pass, they run. And I think when you have that thing going on third down, you gotta take it and throw it in the end zone. I don't think you're going to take that and run that in from back there.
That brings on 16-year veteran Ray Wersching to try a field goal from the 14-yard line, a 24-yard attempt. Out of Bob Galliano's hole, but this is not at all what Bill Walsh wanted after that Rice catch. It's good. Officially 23 yards. The highlight of the drive, a 53-yard catch. Jerry Rice from Joe Montana will get the kickoff duties now for the 49ers. And Tim Brown and Chris Woods are deep for the Raiders. 3-0 after that 24-yard field goal from Ray Wersing. This is Tim Brown for the second time. Out to the 20-yard line. And let's go back and take a look at that long 53-yard pass to Jerry Rice.
Well, see what happened, Vernon. Here's Jerry Rice right here. Now, the 49ers come in motion out here. Now, he just comes here and just runs across. Now, as I said, once you start across, that does cause confusion. He holds a couple guys here, runs right by him, and ends up wide open over there. So he's usually a wide receiver, but see him in there tight. Now, as he comes off, right there, you see these guys freeze. They're just looking in the backfield. Rice runs right by him. So crossing patterns will do that to a defense.
And isn't that typical of the 49ers to line him up in tight? They'll use him in a variety of circumstances.
Remember when they had Dwight Clark, they used to line him up tight a lot.
Up the middle, Steve Smith, the second-year fullback. Bill Romanowski made the tackle. Jerry Rice exploded on the world last year. Not that he hadn't done a lot in his first couple of years in the NFL. But his 3-year total, 3,575 yards, 40 receiving touchdowns, and a total of 43. And needless to say, he was given a rather nice salary increase, and Bill Walsh said it hasn't affected him at all.
Well, it shouldn't affect him. You know, when you pay them a lot of money, they ought to at least play as well as they did before. I guess some guys, when you pay them a lot of money, they soften up. But I thought they'd be so happy they just keep on playing well.
Berline goes deep. Good coverage from Johnny Poe, but the catch is made anyway. Willie Gault, there's the speed.
I'll tell you, when you have Willie Gault out there, watch the defensive guy, Johnny Poe here. He knows he's playing on Gault. He just turns and runs. He just starts out, but he still can't do it. Gault was still going to run right by him, but the ball's thrown short. Gault had to wait for it and come up with a pass there.
In the
Steve
meantime,
Berline was able to throw under the pressure. You see here, he had pretty good protection. A little soft right up the middle, but he got that ball off to Gault.
Trey Junkin in for the Raiders now. First down at the 33. That was a 43-yard pass. Lofton in motion. Berline looks left, fires left. Marcus Allen out of bounds at the 25. Bill Romanowski makes the tackle. Third-round draft choice from Boston College. Back to Willie Gault. Last night we were talking with Steve Berline, and John asked him if he could overthrow him. He said, if the wind's behind me, I can.
That's the thing, and of course the way the Raiders are throwing now, they're throwing their deep one quickly. You know, it's a 5-step drop, set, and throw. You don't wait for him to get deep, and with the speed they have, that quarterback can't wait too much anymore. But you know, Willie Gault gives them a lot of things.
Second down and 1. Raiders trail 3-0. 5 minutes to go first quarter. Allen, blockers in front. Oh, what a block he got. Bruce Wilkerson, and it's a first down for the Raiders. Willie Gault just came to the Raiders from Chicago, and we asked Willie Gault what he'll bring to the Raider offense.
I think I bring speed to the team that, not like they didn't have speed, but I bring more speed, and hopefully I can use that to help open up the defenses more, open up our offense more, and get more people open.
Marcus Allen on the toss around the right side. Danny Stubbs makes the tackle.
You know, I think that's where Willie Gault is going to help him. What he was talking about there is they all get concerned about his speed. I mean, he's world-class speed, and everyone's worried about Gault. Where is he? Where's he going? It loosens up that defense, and then it not only opens it up for other receivers, but it gives you a soft corner for the running game on that side.
See the average he had, 20.1, 5th in the NFL. And I suppose you could say that they used him a bit as a decoy in Chicago.
Well, I mean, he had a
says
career
so.
as a decoy.
That's right.
He's a career decoy, the guy.
He's really a duck.
Until they get something going here, he'll be a decoy here for a while.
Berline. Not quite as nifty as Steve Young, but he got around the corner pretty well.
He was saying last night when we talked to him that he had butterflies. And I bet if he had butterflies the night before the game, imagine what's churning inside there right now. Look, he's looking and he sees green. He sees the end zone, but he also sees 3 white jerseys coming at him. And one is number 49, Jeff Fuller, who is one of the real hitters in the NFL. In fact, he was on the all-Madden team because of the way he hits. See him right there, 49. He's about a half and halfer, half linebacker, half secondary guy.
3rd and 2. Raiders trail by 3. That's Christensen in motion. That's Marcus Allen. That's a touchdown.
They talk about the quarterback situation. You talk about the new guys in trades. You talk about the holding penalty on the goal line. But you forget that Marcus Allen is one of the top runners in this league. So Mike Shanahan has had 2 here so far, Vern, in the first part of this game. He has a short yardage. They jump offside. He has a touchdown, offensive holding.
6, offense, 10 yards, still 3rd down.
That was his tight end, Todd Christensen. The first one was Trey Junkin. Watch Todd Christensen. He's a motion guy here. He started in, then he's going to go back. That's the side that Marcus Allen is running to. Now watch 46 up in the top of the screen. He just grabbed him with that right arm.
That was Jeff Fuller. He grabbed, and it's now 3rd and 12. Wipe out the touchdown.
Jeff Fuller's tough to block. You got to put the old hammer lock on him sometimes. Not the old lock.
Quarterback draw, Berline. 4th down. Bo Eason, just acquired from Houston, made the tackle. How about that call?
Well, Mike Shanahan has his first decision now. Do you go for it on 4th down or do you kick it? Here's the 3rd down play. That was run all the way. This is out of the shotgun. It's called a quarterback draw, where you hope you spread everything out. You know, you get them all playing your pass receivers, then you run up the middle. I think he's thinking now, maybe I should have let you run with it, Marcus, instead of the quarterback.
He forgot that's not Elway out there anymore. That's Berline. Here's Chris Barr on to try a 21-yard field goal to tie it. A 43-yard pass to Galt set up this scoring opportunity. Barr's field goal is good. But the Raiders did have a touchdown wiped out by Christensen's holding penalty. We're notched at 3, 3:04 to go, first quarter. Darrell Wallace and Dokie Williams are the deep men. There's Dokie Williams, acquired from the Raiders for a #1 draft choice, and Barr getting set to kick off. Williams at the 5. Down at the 24. Well, we've got a game for you from across the pond next.
I'll pass. I call that place Gothenburg.
Well, I checked it out. I'm trying to learn as much Swedish as I can.
Yeah, but that's why I couldn't go. If you can't say Gothenburg, if you call it Gothenburg, you got to stay here.
Montana. Rice. Tackle made by Terry McDaniel.
That's, you know, the Raiders had 3 first-round draft choices, and one of them is Terry McDaniel, a defensive back, and you know, he's starting his first game, and then that's the good news, and the bad news is you got to play against Jerry Rice the first time out.
Rathman for the first down with a no-huddle offense for Joe Montana and the 49ers. And on the sidelines, the taping continues.
What they do is they tape them up in the locker room before the game. Of course, that would be under their socks, and then if they need it tightened up, the only way they can do it is like this. They just tape it right over their shoes and socks. So that when they do that, that gives them a double tape job.
It's Joe Cormier getting taped. 1st and 10, 49ers. 3-3 ball game. 2 minutes to go. First quarter. Right side. Jerry Rice with his 3rd catch of the first quarter.
You see the thing that happened there. Montana now is 7 for 8, 92 yards, and of course we said he's going to throw between 12 to 14. You see what happened to McDaniel there? You come and you practice all the time of being up tight on a guy. But when you get in a game, you loosen up. And then when that guy's Jerry Rice, you give him too big of a cushion. You see the cushion is the point where he makes his point to his cut to where you are.
Roger Craig goes left, gets by Rod Martin, cuts up field, that typical high step, and he's got almost enough for a first down. He might have it. Inside the Raider 40-yard first quarter, 3-3 ball game. And Joe Montana, 7 of 8 for 93 yards, including a 53-yard toss to Rice that set up the field goal. Nothing doing on the right side as Craig is hit by Eric Snelson, free agent tight end, former tight end from Stanford, who has been converted to a linebacker. Giants leading Green Bay at the half, 20-3. Second down and 8, 49ers. Montana scheduled to play about a quarter and a half tonight. Interesting, you know, about the back surgery he had 2 years ago. Told us Thursday he still does not have any feeling from his hamstring to his Achilles in his left leg. And it should have been back by now. Here's Montana. Right side. Got it. John Taylor. Dennis Price with a tackle.
You know, you can play without feeling in your left leg when you have this kind of experience, you know, and you can just run back there. You take a 5-step drop, you set. Now you step up. You see how he stepped up in the pocket? Now that's good pass protection. The tackles take those ends to the outside, and you pin those other guys inside. Then that forms a pocket around the quarterback. Montana can see it, he can feel it, step up, stop.
They don't get the last play or the playoff before the end of the quarter. That's the end of the first quarter with our score. The 49ers 3 and the Los Angeles Raiders 3. In the first 15 minutes of play, Joe Montana 8 of 9 for 114 yards. Steve Berline 4 of 6 for 61 for the Raiders. And field goals by Barr and Wersching. We're tied at 3 as we get underway with quarter number 2. And a very satisfying first period for Joe Montana, who is involved in this battle for his job with Steve Young. And we'll see Steve Young probably for 2.5 quarters tonight. Might see Bob Galliano in the fourth quarter. First and 10, 49ers as they threaten for the second time tonight. Montana looks left, dances out of a potential tackle, but is tripped up and dropped. Rod Martin again, the 12-year pro from USC.
That was a heck of a play by Rod Martin, because he comes from the outside, goes by Montana. Watch, he's going to come from the right of the screen. He'll go by Montana, and then he comes, watch, and he makes the turn, makes a big U-turn, grabs him, just grabs his ankles, and trips up Montana. And you see the leg that came off was that left leg where he's had atrophy in that calf. He has a tough time holding the socks up.
Second and 13. Three-man rush for the Raiders. In the pocket, Montana dances out. Steve Wallace comes flying over the back of the tackle.
That was Van McElroy on there. He was coming just to touch Montana down, and here comes number 74, Steve Wallace, and McElroy was saying, hey, if I take it easy, you have to take it easy. But these guys, he's going to get the number of that truck that hits him. Watch McElroy, 26. He's going to let Montana down, and as he does, Steve Wallace buries his helmet in McElroy's back.
There's McElroy, 7-year man out of Baylor. 3rd and 4, split backs. No blitz, across the middle, Rathman. First and goal, 49ers at the 2.5. Nice quick pop, Montana to Rathman.
This is the thing that Joe Montana can do better than anyone, is get back and just zip that ball real quick, right over the middle. You know, 1, 2, 3, find that open guy like Tom Rathman there and hit him with the ball. He doesn't have to sit and look and wait and hold along. It's 1, 2, 3, 5. He's one of the best rhythm throwing quarterbacks I think that's ever played this game.
First and goal from the 2. Formation. Roger Craig, touchdown, 49ers. Officially a 3-yard run.
And we see Tom Rathman there. We see him has a chance to get it in the end zone.
It was Rathman's emergence as a starting fullback and one of the terrific blockers in the league, as much as anything, that led to an outstanding running game by the 49ers a year ago. So Rathman's block, Craig's touchdown. Worthing's extra point, 49ers lead.
A real tough guy, and that's the type of deal that fight fans like to see. That tough guy that, you know, gives everything, goes all out, everything he has.
Speaking of, here's Tim Brown. Third kick return, and he's out to the 24-yard line. 18-yard return for the young man out of Dallas. Tim Brown, of course, won the Heisman. His mother, as I think many of you know, has never seen him play football. Did not watch him in the Cotton Bowl live, but by golly, she's watching tonight, he said. Here's Greg Beatty, who was just acquired by the 49ers this week. David Lewis, who was trying to earn a spot, was released. Beatty suited up, might play tonight.
He came out to practice Thursday afternoon the first time, and he was so excited. You know, he's back in training camp, he's running a pattern, came off the line, boom, fell down. It was his first pass pattern as the San Francisco 49ers.
Halfback pass, Marcus Allen in between Trey Junkin and James Lofton. Philadelphia leads the Jets 23-6 in the third quarter. Chicago over Miami by 3 in the fourth. Indianapolis over Tampa Bay by 13. Atlanta leads New England. Atlanta leads New England. I better say that twice. Cincinnati, Kansas City tied. Cleveland over Detroit. Darryl Clack has scored on the 1-yard run as the Cowboys lead the Chargers down in San Diego. Second down and 10. 10-3 our score. 12:45 to go first half. Berline is now 4 out of 6. 4 wide receivers now. They've got some speed. 4-man rush by the Niners. Berline with time. Tim Brown takes a hit, drops the ball, picks it up. Legal catch. Let's see. Yes.
That was an interesting play there. Tim Brown was saying the difference between college and the NFL is everyone is faster, everyone is quicker, and he said everyone out there can hit you. Now, watch this. Watch 26, Bo Eason. Catches the ball, turns, and whack, there he is right in his face. You talk about welcome to a league. That's a big, big hello.
Got the nice bounce and a 26-yard gain. Vance Mueller, number 42, comes into the backfield. His first carry of the night, the third-year man from Occidental. Mike Shanahan said he wanted to get a good look at Mueller tonight. 175 yards and 87.
You know, Mueller has the one thing you want in a running back in the NFL. He has great speed. And then I think what Mike Shanahan wants to see is, does he have the other things? Can he run the pass patterns, pick up the new system, learn the blocking combinations, pass protect, all those things? He said he wants to see him as a complete player.
First down. 4-man 49er rush. Screen pass left side. Dropped by Mueller. Heisman Trophy winner Tim Brown discussed the adjustments he must make in the pro game.
We've got so many plays, it's unbelievable, and the different things you have to know about the defense. You know, being a wide receiver, I never expected I would have to learn the defensive fronts, but I do, because certain things they do dictate what the secondary is going to be, what they're going to be playing. So it's just so many things you have to learn, and you know, versatility is something that I really didn't expect.
Tim Brown goes left side, second down and 10. 4 wide receiver set now out of the shotgun. Hand off Marcus Allen. Dances to the outside, gets by Mike Walter for just a second or two, and then is dropped at the 35-yard line. Fascinating story developing now for the 49ers defensively. Eric Wright, who for all practical purposes has not played in 32 months, was on the field for that last play. They want to get a test. He's had a severe, obviously a very severe groin pull. And when he went out with the injury in the last game against Dallas almost 3 years ago, Bill Walsh said he thought he was the best defensive back in football. 3rd and 6. Across the middle, Christensen, no. Incomplete. Christensen's productivity cut almost in half during last year's strike season. Under 50 catches for the year, which is about half as many as he usually gets.
Well, remember in 1986.
I wonder, John, because he was in. Here's Giacomaro's punt. Ralph Giacomaro, former Atlanta punter. And it's into the end zone for the touchback because Wright did come out after one play and seems to be testing himself right now. Timeout on the field. 10-3 49ers. On the sidelines, Tim Brown, Heisman Trophy winner from Notre Dame, with Steve Berline, his teammate at Notre Dame for 3 years. Tim said he's used to the way Berline throws the ball. He's not so sure about Vince Evans. Vince Evans throws a hard ball. And here's Montana, who's had a terrific first half. Deep right side. Overthrown. John Taylor covered by Terry McDaniel.
You know, there's a guy you don't hear about much is John Taylor, and I wouldn't be surprised if he were the other starting wide receiver. I wouldn't be surprised when the season starts if it weren't John Taylor and Jerry Rice.
Player down for the 49ers.
I think it's Mark Cochran who just came in at the offensive line. Polaroids. That's usually the defensive backs, the quarterbacks, the strategy. What are we going to do? And when you show a nose tackle's looking at what's going on, football's come a long way. That's football of the 90s.
Mark Cochran is the injured player, and he is being assisted to the sideline. Larry Clarkson will take his place. And it'll be 2nd down and 10. Montana, 9 of 11, 121 yards. 10-3 with 10-11 to go, first half. We'll look at the passing game for the 49ers in the first half. Play fake. Popped across the middle. Wes Chandler makes the catch. Just acquired from the Chargers and in a battle for a spot on the roster.
See, what happens is when they take Jerry Rice out there, now McDaniel, the rookie corner, will come up a little tighter. You see, he's up there on him now. That's what they're saying. And McDaniel's a guy that can really run. I mean, he has a great speed, and he likes to play that tight coverage, play up there with him. I think when Jerry Rice is out there, it's a little tough. Wes Chandler doesn't have the speed he used to have to, and that puts more confidence in those defensive backs.
Taylor and Chandler are the wide receivers now. Montana slips it up the middle, goes to Roger Craig on 1st and 10. And he's across the 35 near the 37-yard line.
I'm surprised that Roger Craig isn't the second guy out, because I think the 49ers in this training camp, the one thing they'd like to do is keep Roger Craig healthy. You know, he's like a thoroughbred. He's not the type of guy who you can beat around. He's not a battering ram. I think they'd like him to go into the season fresh.
Be a 2nd down and 4. Under 9 minutes to go, first half. Here's Craig again. It'll be a 2nd down and 3 now as Mike Wise, the second-year man from Cal Davis, made the stop.
Craig is upset with himself on that cut. You see, it has to be instinctive. He's starting to the left and he cuts back to the right. Now watch him. He's going to start here. Now he thinks that he should have stayed there. He should have followed him. Now in making this cut back here, he didn't see the extra man. You see, they had the extra guy. They had the safety up there, and he didn't see him. He was hidden. Then when he committed himself, he got there and he said, uh-oh, we're 2 on 3 over here.
Rathman, quick opener, first down, 49ers. Out to the 43 and a half. Mike Shanahan, his team trails by 7. Alex Gibbs, who came from Denver with him. Mike was the offensive coordinator for Dan Reeves and the Broncos the last 4 years. He'll turn 36 later this month, if not before the night is over.
Well, he already had those 2 things happen to him. He had that jump off sides on short yardage and a touchdown called back. I'll guarantee you, he's 36 now. Then he has a quarterback we haven't talked about yet, Jim Plunkett, who's 5 years older than he is.
He has to say sir to Plunkett. John Frank. The helmet tackle doesn't go, and Frank battles as only he can.
Now there's a tight end that loves that kind of play. John Frank is a tight end with a linebacker's mentality. He loves the collision. You know, now, Now he's going to get open here, go down the sideline, and you watch him here. Montana steps up, finds him coming across. Now watch it. Right here, when Frank breaks that tackle, he loves this, where he can just put that head and shoulder down and just keep rambling, boom, and boom, and guys hitting and falling and all that stuff. That's football, he said.
Eddie.
More of that.
First down on the 16-yard gain. 7.5 to go, first half. Frank in motion. Roger Craig dances outside where there's not much help. But he does get to the 33-yard line before Joe Cormier, number 92, makes the tackle. As the Raiders have substituted defensively now, they have Stacy Harvey, Cormier, and McKenzie in at linebacker, and Eddie Anderson in the defensive secondary.
You know, the guy we see there, that 95, Bob Bukowski, he was well, but too that he can be healthy.
Greg Townsend is out because he is on that euphemistic non-football injury list for 30 days. Mike Wise makes the tackle on Rathman here, and Howie Long is not playing a defensive end tonight, so Bukowski is getting a long look-see.
I'm sure it's okay.
Word on Mark Cochran, sprained, S-P-R-A-I-N-E-D, right knee. Rathman to the 25.
I think the 49ers started out, and Bill Walsh probably wanted to throw right off the bat and then come back with the run. You know, they've always done that for years. Everyone would run, establish the run, and then you could throw. You know, the old coaching cliche, well, we'll establish the run, then we'll throw. The 49ers have always been just the opposite of that.
Second down and 6. Here's Montana to throw. No, he won't. Down at the 33. Stacy Harvey, the rookie from Arizona State, made the stop, number 94. Walsh and Steve Young. Young will play the second half.
Steve Young, of course, you can tell which hand he is. You know, like you look at the way they wear their jacket. They learn that in baseball. See, and then they always have the arm on the hand that you are. So if you got that, then that means you're left-handed. And then you don't give a darn about your right hand. You
Absolutely.
just let that one hang out in the old air. You always keep the one that you are covered.
Keep that wing warm. Third and 14. 10-7, 10-3 game. Across the middle to Rathman. Oh, boy, he flew right by defensive back Hudson, who never saw it. And that's enough for a first down. The most unexpected place you'd go on a 3rd and long.
I'll tell you, and that's not the type of thing that Rathman does, is blow by guys. He's a good, hard, strong runner, a good blocker, being able to get up the field, but he usually doesn't turn defensive backs around that way.
66 yards, and the 12 49er first down. This is what Bill Walsh wanted him to accomplish tonight, to throw 14 times. But he's going to make it 15. Maybe. Running like a colt.
I know, and that's the thing that he doesn't want to do. And I think if there's any difference in Joe Montana over the 10 years that he's played, is he doesn't do this one as much as he used to, nor as well as he used to.
3:50 to go, first half. Double tight end set. Roger Craig. Touchdown. No, beg your pardon. Out of bounds just before he hit the pylon. His foot hit the pylon, but the ball did not cross the plane.
No, did you see that, though? He really put on a burst of speed there. You usually see it in the open field.
They are looking at this on replay.
Ah, good. Not there. They won't give it to him.
No, it was Burl Toller who made the call. Instant replay has been voted in for one more year, of course, by this year by a vote of 23-5. Talk a little bit more about that in a second. And now Roger Craig is stacked up, and Toller said no, he didn't make it this time either.
It's interesting where he's spotting it. If he didn't make it, it looked like the official had his foot right on the goal line. I've seen that happen before. The official come in from the sideline and put his foot in the goal line. So if you do that, it's a touchdown. There was some good blocking on the inside.
Official word, of course, is that the replay that they looked at was inconclusive, and so now second and goal. There's a flag down. If the play stands, Craig has a touchdown. Flag on the far side. Here's Jim Tunney.
Offside. Defense lined up in the neutral zone. Touchdown. Penalty is declined. Touchdown.
Tell you, Mike Shanahan has to be upset. He's had his defense is lined up offsides in the goal line. He's jumped offsides and short.
3:03 to go, second quarter. Worsing's kick is up and through. Craig had to fight for it, but on his third attempt he gets in, and that increases the 49er lead to 17-3. An 80-yard drive in 15 plays, and one of the big plays was the 3rd and 14 toss from Joe Montana to Tom Rathman. We're at Candlestick Park. Vern Lundquist along with John Madden, first preseason to be hired from outside the Raider organization, John.
Well, you know, and I know in talking to all the players and all the coaches, they're really impressed with Mike Shanahan, and I guess practice is real crisp, and it's a whole new offense and a whole new idea. And the big thing is you can have crisp, you can have new, you can have ideas, but the big thing, the players are buying it, and the players thus far believe in everything Shanahan is doing with his team.
Is that the toughest task as a first-time head coach?
Well, I think so. I think
you were 33 when you took over.
Yeah, and I think that's a tough task. And then I think having early success is important because they believe it now, but I think it has to work. I mean, they think it's going to work, but I don't think you can go, you know, 0 for August and September and they still believe it, though.
Delay of game call, so we'll come back and kick it again. Interesting what Mike Shanahan said to us last night. You asked him how important winning was. He said, oh, no, we want to evaluate our personnel.
Well, yeah, I said, where does winning come? And he said, well, winning's important, and then we want to evaluate our personnel. And the longer he's in the league as a head coach, the more important, the more he's going to know, well, winning comes number one.
Then he said, I'm glad I told you guys that, so I put myself under the gun. Now, fourth quarter, I won't be tempted to put the starters back in.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's funny, the more you win, how much patience people have with you.
How much importance do some people in ownership place on preseason games?
Well, I think if you've been around a long time, I don't think it's that important. I think when you haven't been around and you're just starting out, I think it's very important. I remember my first year, we had one of our owners was Ed McGaw Sr. Went out to dinner with Al Davis and Ed McGaw Sr. and Al left to make a phone call. And Ed McGaw said, there's only one thing you have to do. I thought, what, go to the Super Bowl, win anything? He said, you have to beat the 49ers. That was a preseason game. That's how big that was at that time.
Steve Smith up the middle, number 35, which I might add you did with regularity, right?
Well, when a man's at dinner and he's, you know, I'm telling you, the only thing you have to do is win one game. You better put everything in that one.
Berline, left, receiver slip. And Johnny Poe can't make the interception. That was Willie Gault and Johnny Poe. Johnny Poe, longtime starter with the New Orleans Saints.
Philosophy is it's timing. You throw the ball before he makes the break. And I think that's one of the problems with that. The guy, you throw it before he makes his break and falls down. Then all you have sitting there is a defensive back.
Shotgun on 3rd and 2 as the Raiders trail by 14. The blitz is coming from the Niners. Oh, dear. Greg Cox, who made a big sack in the first quarter, might have made an even greater impression had he hung on to that.
I tell you, if Greg Cox doesn't watch out, he's going to make this football team. He's been real impressive. He was a free agent out of San Jose State and come into camp, and he's really impressed these coaches with his hitting ability. And I think his big test is going to be on special teams.
That brings on Ralph Giacomo. And Derek Crawford is back to return it. Giacomo with anything but a great punt, but he gets a pretty good roll. Heard somebody holler to Derek Crawford, pick it up. He did, and gets it back to the 16-yard line.
He's a backup quarterback. They always, you know, when anything goes wrong, it's always, we want the other guy. The other thing, you better not start believing that all the time now.
Handoff comes left. Harry Sidney, number 24. Montana had a terrific night, though, and if Joe came in with a lack of confidence, he ought to leave happy tonight. In the first possession, they had to punt, but then he led them to a field goal with a big pass to Jerry Rice. 10 plays and a touchdown, and then 15 plays and a touchdown. Time has been called. We're at the 2-minute warning in Candle. Up at the halftime, Merv Cross with NFL highlights, report on the Redskins game, and a report on who's hot and what's not in NFL training camps. It's all coming up at halftime. Here's Terrence Flagler out of Clemson. And he picks up right where he ended last week when he had 58 yards in rushing over in London against the Dolphins.
There's a penalty on the thing, too, in the area of offensive holding. And I tell you, Bruce Colley, the big guard, got out there and made that play possible, though.
Here's Jim Tunney again. Looks like it'll wipe out the run.
Jim Tunney looks like he put on a little weight in the offseason.
Yeah, as opposed to a friend who's standing
67,
here.
offense. Half the distance to the goal line. Still
Larry
second down.
Clarkson.
Colley pulled out. Flagler followed Colley. Colley made a great block on the corner.
Second down at 17. Young dropped. Stops the clock with 1:49 to go. Joe Cormier made the defensive play. Cleveland over Detroit by 3. Philadelphia leads the Jets 23-6. And Cormier is down for the Raiders, number 92.
You go all the way back to his projects at Cincinnati, at San Diego, at Stanford, the 49ers. And I think he was feeling, I just need a challenge. Steve Young is that project.
Thus the controversy.
And I think it's going to be here all year, too.
That's Harry Sidney, who's tackled by Mike Wise.
This is a tough thing here when you're trying to run on that long yardage. You know, you just start off here. Now you hope that they're all going to get up the field, but when you need a lot of yards and you're going to sweep into a pass rush, that really has never made a lot of sense. I think you can trap, you can hit something up the middle, but if they're pass rushing on 3rd and long.
Chris Woods waits near the 50. Bad kick. And a bit of a 49er roll, but that only comes down at the 36-yard line. Coming up next week on CBS. Red Show will join me in Sweden for that game, and John will be watching, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I will. They've just taken that Central Division. They're the 2 best teams in that Central Division in the NFC and just moved it to Sweden. Took the whole, you know, right out of there, take them all over, let them play in Sweden.
Ullevi Stadium. It's supposed to be a sellout.
I think they're going to see a team in the Vikings that are for real. You know, they really beat the 49ers here in the playoff game, and they came very close to beating the Redskins and going to the Super Bowl themselves.
I remember a pass into the end zone. Here's Berline. Pattern back to Lofton, and it's a one-hopper at the 25.
And we see here Mike Shanahan, of course we know he's the head coach, but he also calls the plays himself. Most guys have offensive coordinators or assistant coaches, and he said when he started, Dan Reeves called him at Denver. Then he said after he was there a while, he gave it to him, being Shanahan. So he said he's starting now because he knows it the best, and someday he may give it to an assistant coach.
How many quarterbacks call their own plays now?
I think we're down to none.
Grogan is about the only guy, right?
Well, yeah, but Grogan calls them even when he's not playing.
Right. Berline, 0 for his last 5, completes this one. It's Steve Smith, who is down at the 26-yard line with 1:10 remaining in the ball game. And the Raiders will go without a huddle on the 3rd and 1.
They'd like to get the first down, then take the timeout.
Into the end zone, overthrown for Galt. Berline had it sail on him. Galt at the 7, and that stops the clock at 4th down. Willie with 1 43-yard catch tonight.
Well, you know, the Raiders are putting together all these great receivers, you know, with James Lofton, and they have Tim Brown, the #1 draft choice, Willie Galt in the trade. They had Jesse Hester, who was a #1. In fact, their 4 receivers, their top 4 receivers, have all been #1 draft choices. And they all have great speed, too. So it's kind of like they're getting the driver or the car now, and then they got to get the driver later. Or maybe they're driving to get the car later.
Allen fumbles. 49ers get it on the toss on 4th and 1. Bo Eason comes up with a football, trying to earn a spot after 5 years with the Houston Oilers.
It was one of the guys, Bill Walsh, said yesterday that he wants to see Bo Eason to see how he plays and adjust to being a 49er. This is his second big play thus far. Although Marcus Allen just fumbled that ball. It just fell out, hit his knee, and bounced out. And Eason just happened to be the second guy there and come up with a ball. But Marcus Allen really never got the handle on it. Just kind of slid down and bumped off his knee. That was a strange 4th down play, though.
Young. This is where he gets exciting.
Bill Walsh was saying, you know, Steve Young, we don't want him to run. He said, but he could run and gain 5 yards on every play. And you say, well, if he can gain 5 yards on every play, why you just don't have him run 5 yards? Because about the 2nd or 3rd time he'd get up looking out that ear hole. The helmet gets spun around. About the 5th time he'd get up and there wouldn't be any helmet there. And about the 10th time there may be some other parts that aren't there.
2nd down and 14.
You can do it once in a while, but, you know, I mean, like Bill says, I'd like to have him just get back, set, throw. That's the way I'd like it to be.
Restraint is what he needs to learn. That's been the big problem. Whistle. And so the play will be negated. May have the 45-second clock.
Play.
Second and 18. Terrence Flagler. Second-year man from Clemson. Joe Cribbs, of course, still on this 49er team, may be nearing the end of his career. Here's a final. Atlanta knocks off New England by 4, 34-30. But Flagler, I think, can contribute a lot to this 49er offense.
Well, they hope so. You know, last year they expected big things of him. He had a couple of fumbles early, and they didn't play him the rest of the season. And then he's coming back trying to get that confidence back. The confidence in the coach is in him. And, you know, he could be a real addition to this team if he can.
3rd and 10 with 33 seconds left. Colley leading Flagler around the corner. Colley misses his block and then gets a second one. But Jerry Robinson comes in to make the stop.
You know, an interesting thing here, Vern, is we see Max Runninger coming in to punt. The 49ers drafted Barry Helton as a punter in the 4th round. Now, that's a high choice to pick for a punter. He punted so poorly last week in England that Bill Walsh sent him home to his college coach in Colorado. And he was hoping that he could straighten out his game and his punting game because he wanted him to challenge Max Runninger.
So Helton is back with Mike Mankiewicz at Boulder at the University of Colorado. That's an unusual tactic, though, to just send him out of camp.
Well, sometimes you have to do unusual things with kickers. Yeah, I mean, they practice by themselves. They're in a different world. They're different type of people. Probably someone that's not on there will win it. That's usually the way it happens.
Yep.
The guy who is leading it hardly ever wins it. I know that.
Gets out of sync.
Well, it's easier to chase than to be chased.
I've got to write that one down. Here's Runninger. Chris Woods lets it bounce. And it's down to 40.
Probably like to make this last one a good one. He'll probably just kind of air it out. I mean, you got all that speed. Raiders have so much speed in those wide receivers. I think they could take that team, put them in the Olympics, and win a medal. With those guys, you put Lofton, and you put Galt, and you put Hester, and you put Tim Brown.
And you think they might win a medal.
Yeah.
Here's the toss. Christensen, who's not a speedster, but he makes the catch with 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 1 second. 23-yard gain. The half is over. That's the end of the first half with our score.
That throws all the pass patterns off. And to Bill Walsh, that's a very important part, that everything is precision-like. And when you got a quarterback running around like this, it's hard to have any precision like anything.
We're going to develop this story as the second half goes on. But Vince Evans, of all of the players who took advantage of the opportunities in the strike last year, I can think of no one who took a greater advantage of it than Vince Evans.
Yeah, you know, he said that's more than a blessing. He said, I was out of football, and there was no way, and I waited for 2 years. He sat there, and he called every team and called and wrote letters and did everything he could. And then he said the strike came, and now I started all over again, ended up with the Raiders, played in a strike. The strike's over. They kept him, and he has a chance at an addition to his career.
He'll have to wait just a bit, however, because the Raiders will kick off to open the second half. And John Lee, who was a second-round draft choice of the Cardinals in '86 and had serious problems adjusting to life in the NFL on the playing field, was out of football last year, the UCLA All-American, trying to get a fresh start himself with the Raiders, and he's in the battle with Chris Barr.
Well, he was a great kicker, though, at UCLA. You remember then, a few years ago?
Absolutely.
He was automatic.
Derek Crawford. 49ers will take over at the 25-yard line, and Steve Young will open at quarterback in the second half. He did come on in the latter stages of quarter number 2.
You know, I think Steve Young wants to do that too, Vern, the thing we talked about. I don't think he wants to run, but what happens is you can do it in practice when there's no rush. You can do everything everyone tells you to. Then you get in a game, and if everyone is blocked, you can do it. But it's when something breaks down, now instincts take over. And the instincts are what makes Steve Young run.
First and 10, 49ers. Reverse. John Taylor with Young in front. Let's see if Young makes contact. He won't have a chance, as the tackle is made at the 34-yard line by Reggie McKenzie.
I'll tell you one thing, Steve Young got way out in front, though. You know, that's the thing. That's a way to get away from something around behind it. You know, like they tripped or fell down or something, not to get in all that action.
Second down and 1. Up the middle. Harry Sidney. Flag is down, and so is Sidney. If the play stands, he's got a 49er first down. But it will not stand. So you think Tunney's gained a couple of pounds, huh?
Well, I don't, you know, maybe he got some electronic equipment around there. Maybe it's some combinations, and maybe it's not. Wait, you know, I mean, because you don't know sometimes what people have under, what they wear outside.
But before you lost 75 pounds, I wasn't as aware that you noticed weight gains on other people.
Oh, no, I like it. I like it. It's good.
60, offense, 10 yards, still second down.
Yeah, because then, you know, I mean, a strong wind comes up, you're kind of anchored down in there. I mean, you eat that stuff that sinks in there, and, you know, I mean, a guy rushes by, you don't fall down. You kind of anchor you. I mean, like nose tackles and stuff. I mean, every nose tackle somewhere in their life was nicknamed Stump. You know, because boom, you know, they're like that, like fire hydrant. Old fire hydrant.
Second 11. Fake the draw. Young lets it go. That may be a pass. No, yeah, here it comes. Late flag. But it finally got there as Young, diving, got rid of the ball for Harry Sidney, and then contact was made. That should be pass interference.
Now watch what happened to Steve Young here. As he starts to throw, you see, he started when he was going to throw.
Casey Harvey. Well, he still got his vision. First and 10. Oh, what a pop. Mike Wise at the line of scrimmage, the second-year man from Cal Davis. He's getting a big test tonight at defensive end.
Yeah, he was the guy who's really come along. You know, he's gotten bigger and he's gotten stronger, and you see him there, and he starts on a pinch move. He starts outside, and then he comes right down inside that tackle. And if you're running inside or away and the end pinches, that means pinches to the inside, I'll tell you, that tackle doesn't have a chance to block him.
No gain last play, second down and 10. Opening moments, second half. Here's the toss to Flagler. Gets a good shield block downfield from the wide receiver, John Taylor. And that's good enough for a first down, a gain of 13 yards.
Now here's what happens when that end does the same thing and they go to his side. Watch Wise here. He's going to pinch. He's going to take this inside move. Now the ball goes outside him, and he gets caught doing this. You see the play before, it went here, and he could make it. But watch what happens when that ends. You see 90 makes the same move. Now he's in there. There's no ball in there. Then they have a chance to get outside him. That'll take away the pinch.
Gain of 13. 49ers 16th first down.
Hey, you got a good block out here by number 65, Jeff Briegel. Grass just grows right out of your head.
That may be Steve Young. Here's Sidney, and the ground game is working to perfection here in the third quarter. Stacey Harvey with the tackle. This is a young offensive line that the 49ers have in there right now. They've got Clarkson, Jesse Sapolu, Chuck Thomas, Briegel, and Bob Riley up front.
Well, yeah, they have the four guards, and you can see the center, the guards. Watch the hole that they make so that Sidney can get through there. And Guy McIntyre, Jeff Briegel, and Sapolo and Bruce Colley, they have four guards. What they're hurting now is tackle, because Bubba Paris, you know, gained, like, I guess he was up to 350 pounds, and they sent him to Pritikin Center in Los Angeles.
Second down, Flagler on the sweep to the right. Sidney and Frank try to supply the blocks, and Flagler is going to freelance it. First down. Go back to that graphic, John, just a moment ago. A lot of people didn't realize that the 49ers led the league in rushing last year.
Well, you know, that's the thing, and the way they did it is what we talked about earlier, is they come out passing. Everyone is so concerned about Joe Montana, about Jerry Rice, about their passing game, that they do that first. Then when you're sure they're going to pass every time, then they go to the running. And they get some soft spots in those defenses.
First and 10, 49ers, 10:50 to go, third quarter. They lead it 17-3. Here's Young with a play fake. A lot of time, wide open. Doki Williams against Ron Fellows. Williams makes his first catch in a 49er uniform.
That was the same thing. Look how far Fellows is off of Doki. You see, he's afraid that he's going deep, and he runs him off, and he gets him off 7 or 8 yards. Then when he cuts to the outside, look at Ron Fellows doesn't even get in the picture until Doki's had the ball for a couple of seconds.
Doki Williams last year with the Raiders, 21 catches. Came over for a first-round draft choice. First and goal, San Francisco on the 8-yard line. Sidney down to the 5.
Weight. Bubba gained weight during training camp. They went to England, and he gained some more weight. At that time, Bill Walsh says that's it. I mean, we just can't go on. We have to do something. And that's what they came up with.
Sweep left.
Out there, and he made the same block he did before, and Flagler stopped. Watch him. You'll see Briegel, the left guard, 65, pull out. Now Flagler should just run with Briegel out in front. You see him stopped? I don't know why he stopped and looked, because look out there, Briegel got his guy down. I mean, he stops and looks back inside. Watch 65 here. Just follow him. Get in his hip pocket. See, he stopped. Look, don't look back. Nothing bad. Doesn't happen behind. Get that big guy and follow. Boom! Right in there in his pocket.
Third and goal from the 10. Young. Waits, fires, tipped away at the last second. Intended for Sidney. And Stacey Harvey went deep to knock it away.
I tell you, Steve Young, if we had one of those things we have in baseball, you know, those guns that they measure guys' fastballs, that would. Jim Plunkett is over 40 now, and Jim Plunkett throws at about 32 miles an hour. But he has that 17 years experience.
Location is great. Here's Worthing. Second field goal attempt of the day. No good. So an impressive drive by the 49ers to open the second half comes up empty. They still lead by 14. Coverage of the U.S. Open Tennis Championship begins this month. Later, Monday, August 29th, with late night coverage at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I, for one, looking forward to seeing Andre Agassi, the 18-year-old American who's made such a big hit internationally as well as in the country. Here's Vince Evans at the age of 33, getting a fresh start with the Raiders in the NFL. Up the middle. Vance Mueller with the call. Evans, of course, came on after 2 years of inactivity and started the 3 strike games for the Raiders. Stayed with the club for the rest of the year, but didn't see any more action. He did relocate in the offseason when he learned Los Angeles wanted to pick up his option. He had been living in Denver and trying to sell real estate. And he moved his family out to California to make sure the Raiders knew of his seriousness in trying to earn a spot. Junkin off the line to the right side. And now in motion. Evans right on the money. All the way out to the 48-yard line. We asked Vince Evans about his chances of winning the Raider quarterback job this year.
Coach Shanahan has indicated that the job is wide open, and it's pretty much going to be predicated based on how the quarterbacks perform in preseason. So that's really an exciting opportunity for me to be in that position where I can compete for the job, and I do think that it is going to be a legitimate shot.
He's successful on his first pass of the '88 preseason. That was Trey Junkin with the catch. First down at the 48. Steve Strahan, number 39, into the arms of Ricky Ellison. He's got an interesting offseason job, John. Strategic defense initiative.
I know, he doesn't look like that type of guy. I mean, he looks like something that would, you know, drive a pickup truck and, you know, maybe cut bait or something.
Yeah.
On a pier.
Yeah.
You know, but he's down there working in strategic words, logistics and stuff. Defense. It's like Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, the guy, I don't understand that stuff that he does.
Changing the linebacker mentality, huh?
Well, it's still defense.
Yeah, that's
right. Defense is defense.
He said he'll defend your country or the 49ers, either one. Back across field, Strahan from Evans to the 45-yard line. Charles Haley, number 94, who is going to be a very, very important person for the 49ers this year, made the tackle. Haley has been moved to linebacker from defensive end, and they think he's one of the keys for them in '88.
Well, look at him. You know, he's lost 20 pounds to play linebacker. I mean, he's lost a guy like a little kick returner or something. And then, you know, that's what that does when you start playing linebacker. But then I know what's going to happen. They're going to tell him, go. And in fact, he's doing it right now. He's down as a defensive rush man.
3rd and 3. Evans in the grass. The pass was complete, but Jim Penney had signaled that Evans was down as Jeff Fuller met him right at the rib cage.
But it's just they have the defensive stunt in the middle. They have the 4 guys in the middle, then the 2 defensive backs coming from the outside. So they're bringing 6 rush men on them.
See who else was in there? Greg Cox again.
Yeah, I know it. Cox came from one side and Fuller came from the other side. Like I said, that guy better watch out or he's going to make this 49er team.
Ralph Giacomo is back to punt again. And Derek Crawford waits for it. It's a poor punt. Crawford, poor catch. Out of bounds at the 20. See final round coverage of that event tomorrow on CBS. Steve Young with a nice fake. Back to throw in the face of a heavy rush. Oh boy, did Young get belted.
Got it right on the pitcher's mound too. Hey, that's the thing. You know where Steve Young has one problem, and it's a tough thing for a quarterback, is he takes his eye off the receiver and looks at the rusher and brings the ball down. And I know what he's trying to do. And then your instinct would say to run. He's trying to hold the ball, and when you're trying to do something the coach wants, but you don't have your regular offensive line in there, That is tough.
His big problem is seeing the rush, you say?
Well, you can't, is looking at it. I mean, you have to feel it. You can't look at it. But when he looks at it, he brings the ball down.
Here's Young. Joe Cribbs makes the catch. 8-year man out of Auburn. And Joe Cormier makes the tackle. Cribbs battling for a spot on this team.
You know, they would like to come up with someone other than Roger Craig, and it's either going to be Terrence Flagler or it's going to be Joe Cribbs. I think that's the job that's open, you know, to spell Roger Craig, to keep him fresh, and, you know, be that guy. Cribbs really didn't do it last year. Flagler didn't do it last year. Doug DeBose would be another possibility to do that.
Here's Harry Sidney on 3rd and 2, and that's close for the first down. Roger Craig getting a rest here in the second half. But take a look at the workload he's had the last 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys who can gain yards running the ball or catching it or any of the combinations. And look at, you know, I mean, in 3 years he's gained darn near 5,000 yards. I mean, the most among NFL running backs. And I think now he's lost 10 pounds. And I think you have to watch a guy like that. You have to take it easy for him because he won't take it easy.
Young, rather, intended over on the left side for Terry Greer, who's been very impressive, young wide receiver. He and Calvin Nicholas expected to get a long look for the 49ers in the second half. Both Joe Montana and Bill Walsh mentioned their contributions in training camp so far.
You know, there's a lot of players as you look around the league this year that were on the rosters during the strike. And I think a couple years ago, the teams that got the players from the USFL when that broke up are the teams that are in contention now. Like you take the Minnesota Vikings, Washington Redskins, big players from the USFL. Now I think the teams that may be the teams that benefit the most are the guys that got the best players from the strike games.
A lot of them still active. Here's Greer, or rather Young, rather, and John Frank makes the catch. Ron Heller, the other tight end, as Russ Francis has retired. Let's look at John Frank.
Well, you know, the tight end of 49ers is not a big part of the passing game. They just have them run down in the middle and kind of turn around. And if you're there, they'll whap you, and a bunch of guys jump on you. I mean, they're going to try and get the ball to the outside, to the back, to the, you know, wide receivers. And the tight end and the 49ers, nice guys, good blockers, tough guys, but kind of an afterthought.
Frank now has 3, as you saw. First down and 10. Young with the play fake again. Deep down the middle. Wide open. Frank. Well,
pretty good afterthought.
Nevertheless.
They just take them and they go with a play fake to hold the linebacker. Now, if you get a double coverage, that is the perfect pass.
Frank's 4th catch of the night.
What happens, you get both safeties rotating out, then the linebackers have to cover the tight end. So you go play pass, holds the linebackers, safeties rotate out, boom, tight end right up the middle.
And a 39-yard gain. Young to Frank, 17-3 is the score under 2 minutes to go, third quarter. Harry Sidney with the carry. '49ers moving very well. There's Scott Davis, one of the 3 #1 draft choices for the Raiders. Young caught out of bounds at the 1. Dokie Williams with Dennis Price defending.
Dokie Williams again didn't get the ball over the plane. Steve Young just looking right out there, zips the ball, gets it out there to Dokie Williams. But again, he has the ball in the left hand, which is what you want. You always want the outside hand towards the sideline, but then you don't get the ball to break the plane. The ball to break the plane in Spain.
Mainly. First and goal from the 1. 17-3, 69 seconds to go, third quarter. 49ers about to increase the lead. Sidney. Did not break the plane.
Yep,
Yes,
he did.
Broke the plane lately.
Well, it was a delayed plane. Delayed plane break.
Nothing unusual about that these days.
I'll tell you, it's unusual, isn't it?
Mike Kofer gets the shot at the extra point. Out of North Carolina State, free agent. It's good. On the opening drive of the third quarter, the 49ers came up empty when Wersching missed a field goal, but this time Sidney gets the touchdown, and the lead is 21. In this game, the 49ers have had the ball 28 minutes and 40 seconds to the Raiders 16 minutes and 17 seconds. It's been almost a 3-to-1 ratio in this quarter, with the 49ers having it 10 minutes and 31 seconds. Here is the kick. Stephon Adams, Vance Mueller are back. It's Mueller at the 15. And I think Greg Cox was right in the middle of that. Number 38.
I'll tell you what you see in preseason that you'll never see. It's the first time in history. Vern, on the kickoff coverage, there were 2 48s going downfield.
One of them belongs to Greg Beatty. The other one belongs to George Myra Jr. Probably only one's going to make the team. Why announcers age like cheap wine. Here's an example. Here's George Myra, number 48.
Yeah, but how would you like to be a rookie blocker on the Raiders and someone tells you you get 48?
Okay.
We saw one. Here's the other 48, Greg Beatty. But you know, the funny thing is both of them got blocked by 2 guys. So 4 guys blocked 48.
And then 38 made the tackle.
That's right.
That's why we're all older than we should be.
But that's NFL here. That's the first time 2 guys have been in the same kickoff coverage with the same number.
In the meantime, a little confusion at the line, and Vince Evans has to call timeout. Not what Mike Shanahan had in mind.
You see what Mike Shanahan said? He said, what happened? Of course, it was after a timeout, so they had been in the huddle for about 5 minutes there. And then it must have been something with the motion or something that happened after they went up to the line of scrimmage.
Remember, Jim Plunkett said last night that even at the age of 40, with all of his experience, trying to learn the terminology of the new offensive system is challenging for him. It really is tough.
Well, because he didn't really have it in the off season. You know, because he didn't even know he was coming to training camp until about 2 weeks before it started. What they were going to do, if they signed Mark Wilson again, then Plunkett wasn't going to come back. And when Mark Wilson signed with Green Bay, then that opened it up for Jim Plunkett to come back. Now, I think in the training camp, Jim Plunkett has looked the best of all the quarterbacks. And he's going to start next week against the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys, by the way, are leading in their game by a count of 31-7. Mike Dial has come in as an extra tight end now for the Raiders, rookie from Texas A&I. 24-3 with less than a minute to go, third quarter. It's been all 49ers this half. Jesse Hester in motion, number 84. Evans. Incomplete. After all of that, Darren Como in the vicinity of Trey Junkin. You know, the point has been made, John, about these terrific wide receivers that the 49ers, I mean, the Raiders are accumulating and have had in camp. And the other point is who's going to get them the ball, and they haven't been getting the ball to the wide receivers tonight.
Well, you know, in the first half, they only caught 2 passes, and I think that's going to be the thing. You know, they're going to have that thing that they have the wide receivers, they have Marcus Allen, they have Jim Lachey now, a new all-pro tackle, but they really don't have that missing part yet. So there's 2 ways to do it. You just build that part first, and eventually you're going to get one.
Hester in motion again. Up the middle. Vance Mueller. Wide receivers in this second half are Jesse Hester and Tim Brown. So Lofton and Galt are on the bench. And here's Mueller. It has been an all 49er third quarter. Joe Cormier has applied the ice to the forehead. Bob Galliano is expected to play in the fourth quarter. Steve Young 5 of 9 for 91 yards for the 49ers in the second half. 3rd and 3. That's the end of the third quarter with our score. The 49ers 24, the Los Angeles Raiders 3. We now pause for a word from your local state. Thus far in the ball game, the 49ers scoring drives, 3 of them led by Joe Montana. 7 plays, 10 plays, and 15 plays, and then Steve Young. Here is Vince Evans. That ball caught by Andy Parker, the 5-year tight end out of Utah. (24-3) as we begin the final quarter from Candlestick Park. First preseason game of '88 for all of us at CBS. 49ers got 2 touchdowns under Montana's leadership in the second quarter, 1 from Young in quarter number 3. And the Raiders had but 1 first down in the third quarter.
Well, the thing is, you know, they're doing all right, or they're probably not doing all right on first and second. They have to give you first and second, but they just can't convert on third down. And then if you can't convert on third down, then you have to punt the ball.
They are 1 of 8 on third down, as a matter of fact. Here's Evans. Nice move. Can't get by, guess who? Greg Cox. This man has been impressive tonight.
You know, I think there's a place for guys like Greg Cox. I mean, one is obviously on special teams. You make the team on special teams. The other is that combination of a guy who plays linebacker and secondary, where you can put him in like the 5th, 6th defensive back. Then if the team wants to run, you got a tackler there and can pass defend well enough to cover their 5th or 6th guy. I think that's going to be a new position. Maybe it's called pro rover or something like that.
Interesting idea. 2nd and 10. Stumped by the 49ers defensive line. Andy Parker again stepped out of bounds before he got the first down.
You know, there's another guy the 49ers like, and it's you know, Chet Brooks, who was number 31, the defensive back. He's had to play corner because they don't have Griffin or McKyer. Their starting corners are holding out, and they think he'll probably end up being a safety. So one way, it's tough when you put a safety out there in corner. He doesn't always look that good, but I think it's a good experience for him. You know, it's kind of like the leaded bat. You know, you swing a heavy bat, then you put the other one that's lighter. You play corner, and anything you do after that is easier.
Brooks, an 11th round draft choice out of Texas A&M. 3rd and 1. Raiders shift into the eye. Dial starts in motion. Flag. What do we got?
Delay exceeding 30 seconds, 5-yard penalty. Los Angeles ball, still 3rd down.
Once again, 3rd and short, and they've got 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 rather.
Yeah, that's the problem. The Raiders really, you know, again, you have substitutions so on, but they're really not playing together, and the crucial ones are killing them. The 3rd down is one thing. Then you remember the short yardage. They jumped off sides. They took too much time. Down in the goal line, they scored. They had the holding penalty. And just offensively, they're probably going to be better, but they're awfully sloppy at this point.
From the shotgun with a set of 4 wide receivers. Evans takes it 5 yards back. Quarterback draw. Second time that Mike Shanahan has gone to that play. He tried it with Berline in the first half. Inside the 20. This time they get the first down on the gain of 16.
Well, the idea is you go shotgun, you go 4 wide receivers, you invite all the rushmen up the field and run off the secondary, and then your quarterback has a lot of room to run.
Tackle made by Bo Eason. First down. Raiders at the 33. 24-3. 49ers have won the last 4 preseason games between these two teams. Mueller, nice hurdle to the 15-yard line. And another Raider first down.
Did you see that shot as you looked on the monitor? I saw a hold right there. Someone held George Myra Jr. I saw that thing. But it's going to be straight ahead. You can't see it from that angle, but right there, he held him and tackled him down as Mueller went through. But that's good. If they don't catch you, one way to do it. Hold him and grab him.
Scratch him, claw him. 15 yards. First down, Los Angeles. 12:45 to go in the ball game. Hester wide right. Evans on the roll to the left, looks for Brown, settles short instead for Mike Dial, the rookie free agent tight end out of Texas A&I. And that's inside the 10.
As you said, he comes out here on a bootleg or waggle. Then he has the tight end short, and he has the outside man deep. And he just wanted to get something completed, get up, maybe give him a chance to run it in the end zone.
Second down and 4. Clock shows 12:37 to go. Evans with a play fake. Has it knocked down. Fonhorst got it, Jim Fonhorst, and there is a flag on the play.
He had Tim Brown wide open in the end zone too. Brown came on a crossing pattern. I think Vince Evans saw him before the ball was knocked down.
Fonhorst, who started most of last year after Ricky Ellison went out with a broken forearm in a battle with Ellison for the starting spot here, and the option resting with the 49ers. There's Jim Tunney.
Offensive pass interference, number 81, 10 yards, still second down.
That's a tight end, Andy Parker. They're saying that he pushed off. You see right here, he didn't push off, he picked him. I don't know who picked whom, though. You see, he's coming in there. George Myra, 48, is a pass defender who was covering Brown. That's why Brown was open. Andy Parker came in and picked him off. Myra ran into him, and they called it a pick.
Here's Evans. Tunney was looking right at him. No intentional grounding. The crowd wanted it.
I know one thing, that anytime a quarterback goes back, sets up, and then moves again after he sets up and he moves backward, I'll bet you his completion percentage is about 2. I've never seen that ever happen. You know what I mean? When they step up, now if they go forward, they go sideways, they're okay. But when they start backwards after their setup, I don't think they ever complete them.
And as a result of that incompletion, it's 3rd and 14. 2 of 9 on third down conversions for the Raiders. They have the ball now at the 19-yard line with 12:21 to go in the ball game. Behind the intended receiver, who was Mike Alexander, number 89, an 8th-round draft choice from Penn State. There's Alexander facing a tough task to earn a spot on this roster with this bevy of wide receivers that the Raiders have. Now Berline is in to hold on the field goal attempt. And this will be John Lee trying to make a comeback in the NFL after that lack of success in St. Louis in '86. In his career, 8 of 13. Some suspicion he had problems in kicking without the tee that's allowed in college football. 37-yard effort, high snap, low kick, no good. It all comes to naught. 12-12 remaining in the ball game. Raiders still trail by 21.
Problem on grass. Watch as the ball snapped here. It's this high snap, but watch right there, and you see half the ball is buried. So on artificial turf or with a tee, they can see the whole football. I'm not making an excuse for John Lee. I'm just pointing out that they can see the whole ball, and then when you put it in grass, you lose a quarter of the ball.
Here's Joe Cribbs, gets the handoff from Bob Galliano, who's in at quarterback, the 5-year man from Utah State. There's Galliano, 16 of 29 for 229 yards last year. In a battle, some say, with John Pay, the former Stanford quarterback, for the number 3 spot on this club.
You know, when we were talking to Joe Montana the other day, he said that Dwight Clark, who was his best friend, he said he lost him when he retired, and said now he rooms by himself, and he said the only 2 guys he really talks to is Ronnie Lott, which didn't surprise me, you know, 2 old veterans talking, but Bob Galliano is the other guy.
Yeah. Here's Harry Sidney. Well, if there is a quarterback controversy in San Francisco, and there is, believe me, if you read and hear things out here, what happens after tonight? Joe Montana, 12 of 14 for 166 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And Steve Young, 5 of 9 for 91, 0-0.
I think they have a pretty good situation here. You know, that on one team you have 2 good quarterbacks, and you say that's a controversy. On the other team, they're looking for 1 good quarterback. So if one of these guys could walk across the field to the other guys, the other guys would be happy. I know that.
Galliano has it batted backwards by Milt McCall, the former 49er who was traded to the Raiders.
You know, we have a lot of that there. We have Dokie Williams, who played with the Raiders. Now he plays with the 49ers. We have Milt McCall. He was with the 49ers last year. Now he's playing for the Raiders.
Well, it's a short commute.
Yeah.
Not as short as it used to be, but short.
Yeah, well, you say he's in his 8th season, and he's, you know, his dad, remember his dad, Bill McCall,
sure,
played for Stanford, and then the Chicago Bears, became a doctor. Milt McCall doing the same thing.
Calvin Nicholas in the lineup. That pass to Sidney, and a nice defensive job is done by David Greenwood, another veteran of the NFL and USFL. Kansas City over Cincinnati, 34-21. There's Marcus Allen, probably thinking about the return of Bo Jackson. No, I don't think he is.
No, I'm sure he's not. He's thinking the same thing that everyone else is thinking. Who's going to quarterback this team?
That's right.
I'll bet you know, I'd like to have $1 for every time someone says, you know, they bring up the Raiders. Well, who's going to be their quarterback? Heck, if I knew, I wouldn't be broadcasting. I'd be doing something else. They don't know.
Third
they
and
don't have
14.
a guy.
4-man rush. Galliano, incomplete left side. Give me your guesstimate about the possibility of the Raiders making a trade at quarterback before the regular season.
I think that would be what they would want to do. And, you know, but again, if, you know, people say, well, the Raiders can't trade because they don't like the Raiders. But if you have a quarterback, who's going to give one up? And if there is one available, I think they'll make a trade for one. But I can't see anyone making one available.
Tim Brown back to return the kick of Vincent Gamache, a 3-year man from Cal State Fullerton, who after the game will no doubt go up and introduce himself to Bill Walsh, because earlier in training camp, Walsh came up to this young man and said, son, would you move that trash can for me? And one of Walsh's assistants said, Coach, he's one of our punters. And Walsh said, oh, excuse me.
He'll say he thought he was a maintenance guy at the college there.
Ah, the life of the kickers.
There's Earl Liggett. Big Earl's getting in a stance like he's in the huddle. He's the defensive line coach of the Raiders.
There's Gamache, 3-year man, Cal State Fullerton.
You know those kickers, they just go from team to team. It seems like a kicker really doesn't make a team till he's been cut 3 or 4 times.
That's so true.
Yeah, if there's any guy that really knows how to get cut and go on, it's a kicker.
There's the punt taken by Tim Brown. Across midfield to the 45-yard line.
The kickers is a lonely position. I mean, think of that. I mean, some guy once in a while lets you have a drink of water. That's about the deal.
It doesn't happen too often. Timeout. Back. Wide receivers are Hester and Brown. They're both to the left side. James Williams is now in at one of the running back spots. Here's Evans back to throw. Maybe. There's that point you made. Well, it didn't get complete either.
Well, I'll tell you, that. Once a guy goes, he can step up, he can go parallel, but when you go backwards, usually bad things happen to you. I think that's pretty much true on offense. Anytime you go backwards, it's bad. I think there's only one way to go, and that's forward.
Darren Como made the hit, then number 59. Raiders have 2 of their speedsters. By the way, Mervin Fernandez, another fast receiver, is not even here tonight. He's back home in Los Angeles, left back there with an injury. But they're not having much success finding wide receivers. Here's a running back with the ball, Williams, to the 40-yard line. But you know, you said back in the first half, if you put their 4 fastest receivers together, they might win a medal.
Yeah, they would. I mean, they would win a medal if you could get those guys in the thing. You see, look, I mean, here's what it was in the 4x100 relay. And you look at the gold, the silver, and the bronze, and the Raider receivers were 40. But if you take away a little because they're in pads, and a little because they're in football stance, and a little because they're not on a track, look what you get. They get a silver.
They win the silver.
I think they get a silver, yeah.
In the Madden Track and Field Championship.
That just knocked the Russians right out.
Yep. That is a forward pass that is incomplete. Evans fell on it, but it was a forward pass.
Well, it's that shuffle pass.
Well, somewhere I'm
back
thinking.
And then you throw that thing forward. I don't think he saw it.
Somewhere Lee Grosscup is waiting for me to mention his name right now.
Yeah.
Because he was the guy who made it famous back in the 50s at Utah.
Vince Evans did it from the shotgun, though. You see it. He throws it. Yeah, Strahan did see it. He just dropped it, but he was getting hit about the time he got there.
And that's yet one more Raider frustration on 3rd down. They are now 2 of 11. Mega Man. Bruce Colley. Timeout has now been called by the 49ers. Is that Howie?
Yeah, that's Howie.
Okay. Marcus Allen, the All-Pro, on the sidelines of the Raiders. We mentioned a while ago he might be thinking about the return of Bo Jackson, but that won't be until October because Bo is still playing baseball, of course, with the Kansas City Royals. They'll have to do without him until he comes back. He was 0 for 5 today, despite the Royals' 11-1 win. But he has made an impact in baseball, both defensively and offensively, and in football. What a season he had in 1987, though it was only a half a season by NFL standards. There was this touchdown and that memorable 91-yarder against Seattle. Bo Jackson will be back with the Raiders a little later on.
Oh, there's another guy that'll be back right there in the left of the screen. That's Howie Long, one of the Raiders' top defensive players, one of the top defensive linemen in all of football. Of course, they have another guy that's not in the picture there, Stacy Turan. He's holding out. And another guy who's holding out, Matt Millen, who's not there. And then they have a lot of good parts. I mean, some are there, some aren't there. But it's always going to get down to that thing until they get that one other deal. Maybe it's academic.
They need a driver. There's Evans over the middle. Caught by Strahan. And Greg Cox was in the area again, making the hit with Johnny Poe.
We don't have an MVP in the game, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick this Greg Cox. I mean, the guy's all over the place. I mean, he's making plays on defense, on special teams. He's running around, bumping guys, catch a ball, whap. I'll tell you, he knocks them backwards, too. He gets in there and decleats them. That guy's going to play in the NFL. I mean, I don't know if he'll play with the 49ers. They may waive him. Someone else will pick this guy up. He can play.
Mix up at the line of scrimmage, and late flags come. There's Jim Lachey, just acquired on Sunday from the San Diego Chargers. John Clay, last year's #1 Raider draft choice, went down to San Diego, and Lachey from Ohio State immediately moved in as a starting left tackle.
That's what he said on Sunday night. He said he met with Art Shell, practiced Monday morning, and Monday afternoon he was scrimmaging the Dallas Cowboys.
Lachey last night, and he's really a personable young man. He was talking about whether he'd had any problems fitting in with these new teammates. He said, no, all offensive linemen are out of the same mold. You go in, you ask for a piece of chewing tobacco, and then you sit down and talk about conservative investments.
Yeah, and then they got, I mean, they're always neater than the other guys, too. You know, you got the nice, neat little haircut and stuff. And guy's 6'6", 290. Neat. Clean.
Well groomed. Evans. James Williams. And there's Greg Cox again. He's got 8 solo tackles already tonight.
I'll tell you, when he knows what to do when that defense is played. I mean, you start back, you think it's pass, you find out it's run. He just closes and just throws his body in there. I mean, he is not doesn't have a lot of respect for that body of his. Here's a guy who's a master at that. Saying hi to Ryan. Ronnie Lott's the only guy in the whole field tonight that wore black shoes.
Deep in the end zone. Almost picked off. Chet Brooks, number 31, 11th round draft choice, and Timmy Brown. They may have encountered each other in high school.
Timmy Brown, he has that trouble when guys hit him around. He wears that towel. Remember what game was that?
Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, in the Cotton Bowl. Guy pulled his towel off, and they got in a big fight over there. He looked like he was going to get in a fight there on that one. But he says he's not that kind of guy.
He's really not.
Now this one here is going to be, that's a wide receiver in 22 years from now. Will be playing wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. That one there.
Third and 10. One hopper incomplete. Why the Cowboys?
I don't know.
Fits
We
the
had
image.
another. I mean, that kid looked like a cowboy. There's something that kid looked kind of like Roger Staubach did when he was that age. Look, I mean, that's a clean. Look at those big blue eyes.
Right.
That's a cowboy. I don't know what kind of hat he has on there, but that's a cowboy.
Go for it. A wide receiver for the Cowboys, huh? Here's Evans. Flag is down. Evans is down. If the play stands, he'd be close for the first down. Clyde Glover is the injured 49er, second-year man from Fresno State, back in the area of the 47-yard line.
No, the 49ers had so many defensive linemen out of this game. Jeff Stover was out, and Pete Kugler was out, and they had all those injuries before the game. Larry Roberts, their best pass rusher. Then you see this. What Bill Wall said. He said, I don't know if we can get a defense out there.
Here are the number for the 49ers who are out of the game. Jones, Shell, Turner, Williamson, Nixon, Bartolo, Holt, and Roberts all on the injured list. Stover, Kugler, and Del Rogers are injured. Bubba Paris we talked about. Griffin and Mackay are holding out. Doug DeBose on the non-football injury list, and Mike Wilson is injured. That's just the 49er side of the field. And here's Glover coming out.
We've seen about 5 or 6 of those guys were defensive linemen. And probably about 10 or 12 of them, when you add the whole thing up, were defensive players. So without all those guys, the 49ers look pretty good. They have some good parts.
And they've got a driver.
Yeah, they got a couple of drivers. They can have a front and back seat driver.
Giacomo. Derek Crawford lets it go over his head into the end zone. Touchback. Well, we mentioned the 49ers who are missing tonight's game. The Raiders are not without their list. Howie Long injured. Greg Townsend on that non-football injury list, suspended for 30 days. Lionel Washington, Russell Carter, Don Mosbar. Mosbar might be back in a couple, or start working out, I guess, shortly. Fernandez is home with an injury. We mentioned him. Millen and Turan are not in camp.
And then another one there, Bill Pickell, you know, the nose tackle, he's out too. So you take Howie, who didn't play, and Pickell, who didn't play. You know, that's a good part of their defense. And one of their big hitters, who's a lot like Ronnie Lott, is Stacy Turan. In fact, Stacy Turan is holding out because he wants Ronnie Lott money.
Intercepted. Ron Fellows. who came to the Raiders last year in the trade for Rod Barksdale and is battling for a position on the club. Gets the interception. And there are some Raider fans here, although that's wrong city now, right?
Oh, that's Oakland. We just had some left over. They've stayed here all those years. It was Willie Brown.
I thought that's who that was.
That was Willie Brown, the Hall of Fame defensive back from the Raiders, who was congratulating Ron Fellows after that interception.
Evans back in, 7 of 14 for 70 yards so far. But the wide receivers have not been a factor for the Raiders tonight. Doug Mikolas giving chase on Evans. Now he's got a man. Hester is wide open. And out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Jesse Hester. Greg Cox with the tackle again. 40 yards. And Mikolas was all but tackled in his pursuit of Vince Evans.
You know, the toughest thing on a scramble like this is the defensive secondary trying to stay with their receivers. You know, they can stay with their guy like 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, but now where do you go? I mean, at least they're running out for the ball, and you're running to chase them. That was Greg Cox there who finally got him. That was his guy. He's been all over that guy. He's tackling run, tackling passes, covering Jesse Hester.
40-yard gain, first down at the 25. Brown in a crossing pattern, and it's tipped away by Chet Brooks, number 31.
Here we're talking about on that last play in a scramble. Watch the effect it has on a defensive guy. He goes back for a while. He runs to his left for a while, runs a little more, stops, comes back to the right, and he has to stay with that guy. And then by the time he said, oh, we're still playing, they haven't caught him yet.
See, John, one look away from him, and boom, that's all it took.
Yeah, but the guy had a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and you have to play him. That's like playing tag. You know, as a kid, the guy can run everywhere, and you got to touch him. That's why linemen were always it. You never saw a running back ever it. I spent my whole life as a kid being it.
Being it?
That was it.
Incomplete. Down at the 11-yard line. We mentioned Doug DeBose and Greg Townsend, players respectively on the 49ers and the Raiders, who have. That's Bo Eason with an injury.
I think he had something stuck in his face mask. That looked ugly, though, the way it was running over there. And someone just pulled something out. They pulled a piece of something out. This is one of the guys that Bill Walsh wanted to see play a lot tonight was Bo Eason, and said he would like to see him be a part of that defense. Maybe the 5th defensive back, maybe the 6th defensive back.
Here's Evans. Battle for the ball at the 9. Mike Alexander. There was a list released just to go back to the point about DeBose and Townsend of players who had been placed on the non-football injury list for 30 days. Manley, of course, the most prominent perhaps, and then this week DeBose, Townsend, Kevin Gogan of Dallas, Richard Reed, Rob Riddick, Pat Saindon of Atlanta. This all a part of the new drug testing policy of the National Football League.
Oh, and the thing to remember here is that all the tests aren't in, but that's the 2nd time that they tested positively. I mean, it's not the first time.
Here's the pitch to the left side. Down at the 9. James Williams. Now, I heard somebody in the press box about an hour before the game discussing that list and said, well, they really threw the booklet at them.
Well, the thing is, it's 30 days. If it happens in preseason, it's going to be 30 days. But if it happens 30 days from now, then it'll be 30 days a season. I mean, at least they have a system. And, you know, they're putting it in and showing. And if it happens early, then you miss training camp. But if it happens another 30 days, then you're going to miss some real money.
3rd and goal from the 8. 2nd and goal. Vince Evans drills it. Incomplete. Chris Woods, the intended receiver.
Hey, Vince Evans threw that one. That was another 98-mile-an-hour fastball down there. The receivers said one thing with the Raiders, when they go in a huddle, they have to look and see who the quarterback is, because Vince Evans throws it harder. Burline is second, and Plunkett throws a soft football. And they said, but he really puts a zing on it. And you saw that one. I mean, that thing went. Pew!
3rd and goal from the 8. Quarterback draw again. Evans, touchdown. 3rd time tonight that Mike Shanahan has called the play. This time it works well.
Yeah, they're going to get it right. They're going to get that idea where you get there. Again, you get in the shotgun. You spread them out. 4 wide receivers in there. Spread the defense out all over the field. Invite those linemen up the field. And then everyone is covering. And you're lucky that Bo Eason, when he went to react, he fell down. That's the thing that got him. Bo Eason was back off there off him. He saw it, and boom. Holy moly.
Think they remember you, John?
I think they were some of the guys I coached. I think I know them. I think they just took their helmets off. They were guys that were left over.
I got news for you. Here's John Lee with the extra point. They've asked for seats on the Madden Cruiser after the game.
Oh, yeah. Welcome. Love to have you.
Well, we've got the 49ers and the Raiders tonight. Next week from Gothenburg or Göteborg or Göteborg, Sweden. Whatever the case, Terry Bradshaw and I will be there for the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears, 2 of the best in the black and blue division. At 1 o'clock Eastern time, that'll be 7 o'clock Göteborg time from Sweden. I have learned to say Jumpen Jiminy. That's about the extent of it.
That's good.
But in a week I'll be set.
You know, I wonder who's the better of those teams. I mean, I think that maybe last year at the end of the season, or maybe from the midway, Bears were better. Then of course there was a strike. Maybe at mid-season the Bears were better. But at the end of the season, I remember the last game of the season. Remember, Minnesota lost to New Orleans, but then they got in the playoffs, and from that time on, they became one of the good teams in this league.
How much carryover from year to year is there for teams? A lot?
I think there's a lot. I think that's the thing. I mean, you know, the one thing you can't coach is confidence.
Right. Confidence
has to come. You have to earn it. It comes from within. And I think that going into this season, the Vikings have to be a confident team when they went to training camp.
Here's John Lee's squib kick. Mario Perry falls on it, number 49 at the 49, appropriately enough. There's Greg Cox. What a nice game he's had tonight.
Yeah, I know it. I'll tell you, he's yeah.
That's a Hawaiian greeting you just gave us.
Oh yeah, I like that though. I mean, you got different ways to say hello and goodbye, and you got good sweat going. You've been hitting. You still feel good. You're fresh. Vince Evans just scored a touchdown, quarterback draw. Guys are feeling good now.
Darrell Wallace is in at running back now, a free agent out of Missouri for the 49ers. Mike Shanahan, of course, is going through his first game as the head coach of the Raiders tonight. What was your first game in preseason?
I remember the first game was even before preseason. The first game I ever coached was in the Coliseum, and it was a rookie game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Raiders. The Cowboys had Roger Staubach, who was just in his first year coming out, and we had Kenny Stabler. And there were like 45,000 people for a rookie game, and they couldn't tell me, hey, this is just a rookie game. I was excited, and we won that one. So I remember everything about that one.
You want to know something?
You were there.
I was there.
Radio broadcast.
Doing the radio broadcast for the Cowboys, yes. Darrell Wallace again. And that wasn't so long ago, was it? That was just yesterday. Couldn't have been more than 2-3 years ago.
Look at this. They're pouring stuff.
That's Bo Eason. He did get a scratch on his eye.
I think that's what happened. I think they pulled some stuff out, and then they just clean it out now.
Tony Eason's younger brother played collegiately nearby at Cal Davis and was a second-round draft choice of the Oilers. Fourth quarter, the Cowboys leading 21-10, speaking of Roger Staubach's old team. Three minutes to go in the ball game. 24-10. Harry Sidney inside the 35, and Byron Lee, number 27, makes the tackle. 49ers, of course, 13-2 a year ago before losing to Minnesota, and it doesn't get real easy this year. Check the schedule they've got. They open on the road at New Orleans, at the Giants, Atlanta, at Seattle, then Detroit and Denver at home, at the Rams, at Chicago, Minnesota, Washington, New Orleans. The reason we've highlighted those teams because the 49ers have not played necessarily well against those highlighted teams in the last few years.
You know, the teams I've had the problem with is the strong, tough pass rush, tough defensive linemen, especially on cold days.
Here's Wallace again for a couple. Now, despite the 49ers' success in the last few years, those are the kind of teams that they've been having trouble with. There's something like 5-11 against them in recent history. 2-minute warning. 24-10, San Francisco over the Raiders. Have been in control for much of the night. They go and play Denver next week, while the Raiders are at home against the Dallas Cowboys next Saturday afternoon. Bob Galliano, third quarterback Bill Walsh has used tonight. Has Sidney and Darrell Wallace in the backfield with him. And a 3rd and 2. Here's Harry Sidney. John and I had a chance to go up to the 49er training camp at Rockland, California on Thursday afternoon and had lunch with the 49ers. And the emphasis in training rooms has really changed now in terms of caloric intake, hasn't it?
I remember in the old days when they used to have this big thing that they ate so many pounds of beef and so many 100 dozen eggs and so much milk. Now that stuff's all bad for you. Look at the way they got it. I mean, they still don't have stuff that's good, but look, they got the calories and the carbohydrates and the fats and the protein and all that stuff. So a guy now, when he goes eats, look, they got stuff like Brussels sprouts.
A lot of calories.
Years ago, a football player didn't even know what a Brussels sprout was. Thought it was a nose tackle up in Canada or something, old dirty Brussels sprout. Yeah, how do you know Brussels? You shouldn't even know Brussels sprouts.
And now they're serving it in training camp cafeterias.
Yeah, usually that was some place where they'd hold Olympics or something, and Brussels sprouts.
Can quiche be far behind?
Yeah.
It really has changed.
Yeah, I know it. I remember that was a big thing. In fact, now they say that guys in the old days used to sneak out, break curfew to go get a drink or something. Now they break out to go get a burger, to get some fat or something. Go get a little fat.
1 minute to go. 2nd down and 15.
I think that was Harry Edwards down there talking to Jerry Rice.
Yes. Harry Sidney up the middle. Let's bring you up to speed on other preseason games around the National Football League on this Saturday night in August. Our score here is 24-10 with 45 seconds to go. Giants win tonight big over Green Bay by 31. Philadelphia defeats the Jets by 23-12. Chicago knocks off Miami by 3. Indianapolis defeats Tampa Bay 20-7. Atlanta over New England 34-30. Kansas City over Cincinnati 34-21, and Cleveland edged Detroit. In the fourth quarter, Dallas leading San Diego 21-10. And that's the way things have gone around the league tonight, as our regular National Football League crew gets back together for the first time in 1988. Pat Summerall, of course, who is John's partner during the regular season, is anchoring our coverage of the Memphis St. Jude's Classic, the Federal Express Classic in Memphis. And then he's going to do the U.S. Open. You and I are going to be together for a while, but
right,
Patrick
for a
will be
while,
back.
yeah. Pat has to go through and get that golf stuff straightened out. Then he got to handle that U.S. Open tennis and get that stuff straightened out. And he knows all those words like where Sweden and Brussels and all those
sprouts,
things. He knows that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All those sports. He can play golf and tennis and come to football.
That's why he gets the big bucks.
It's great.
Speaking of Patrick, as Harry Sidney makes the carry, Jody Mudd leads the Federal Express St. Jude Classic in Memphis after 3 rounds. Tim Simpson 1 back. Dave Rummels 2 off the pace, followed by Strange and Kite. And Pat, Kenny Venturi, Ben Wright, Jim Nance, Gary McCord, Steve Melnick, and the gang will all be along tomorrow.
They even know who those top 3 guys are. The first name I recognized was Curtis
Strange, huh? But just think about the next time you hear Dave Rummel's name, you'll know him well.
Yeah.
49ers win it for John Madden and Irv Cross. This is Vern Lundquist saying so long from Candlestick Park in San Francisco, California, where the final score was the 49ers 24, the Los Angeles Raiders 10. You've been watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.